experience in not just only coaching and developing programs, but she has an extensive experience in building coaching businesses. And I'll call them businesses because the line of products that we run at CDI, the lines of products that she's been able to develop over time, partnering with different organizations across Africa as well, just ensuring that her mandate of multiplication of coaching goes on over and over the years. I mean, it's quite amazing. And who else to have this conversation other than Eileen Laskar? Eileen, I'll kindly request you to say hi to our delegates this evening. Karibu.
Thank you so much. And hello, Namoka. Hello, everyone. Nice to see your face, Catherine. We spoke on phone, but I've not seen your face before. And I'm hoping as we get along, the rest of us can get to put their cameras on. If you've been in CDI-Africa, you know the drill. So just do what you know. Keep the faith of keeping our cameras on and getting to feed on each other's energy. Yeah, I can see somebody laughing. Yeah. So please get the cameras on. You come as you are. We're not going to judge you as to whether you are dressed officially or not. Just come as you are. We'll accept you. So I'm looking forward to the conversation, Amwaka. It's really an honor for me to sit here and share, wisdom, nuggets that I've gathered over the years to the coaches who are looking at building sustainable coaching businesses or becoming coachpreneurs, as we like putting it. So I'm looking forward to the conversation. And karibu kila mtu, welcome everyone. Let's do this together. Back to you, Namwaka.
Thank you so much, Coach. And just before we proceed, I'd like us to build context on this conversation. And so I'll ask us a question. What do you hope to have us respond to today? And I know Sharon will help us write that in the chat box. So what do you hope to have us respond to today? So what questions do you have? And what would you really love for Eileen, Coach Eileen, to respond to today? Over to you, coaches. The chat box is available. Would love to see your responses coming through. And feel free to also raise up your hand and respond to it. We are having a conversation. Thank you, Sharon, for sharing that question in the chat. What would you like responded to us today? What do you like responded today? Any question that you might be having around building a business? Remember, this webinar has been brought to you by the Coaching Business Masterclass. So you have done your coaching. You're a certified executive coach or a certified coach. So what next? Thank you, Alice. Alice says, oh, sorry about that, my phone battery. Okay, so sorry about that. We should be able to record the session and send that to you. Thank you, Alice. And my apologies about that. Okay, fantastic. Any questions? All right, Eileen, as we wait for the questions to come in, allow me to throw a question to you. Why the Coaching Business Masterclass?
And allow me, Namwaka, to pause and give coaches some time to think about the questions they want to ask.
Oh, thank you. That's allowed, Coach.
Nice to see you, Liz. Nice to see you, Mercy. No questions, then you're going to have a chat and go home.
Hi, Lucy. Are you trying to say something, Lucy? All right, the questions are coming in, Coach.
I told you, on time. Can you Lucy? We have 3.
Mhm.
You can read them out.
All right.
Even as others give us their questions.
That was a very powerful thing you did there, Coach. So the first question was how to monetize coaching in regards to getting clients. I'm currently doing it pro bono, but I want to turn it into a business. Thank you, Catherine. Then Coach Elizabeth says, so especially for those who are taking up coaching over and above their day jobs, what are the things they need to be aware of? So for those who are taking on coaching above their day jobs, what are the things they need to be aware of? Thank you, Coach Wasuna. And the third question by Juliet, how to translate coaching into a money stream, especially for one whose coaching training needs refreshing. So Coach Juliet asks, how to translate coaching into a money stream, especially for one whose coaching training needs refreshing. Right, over to Coach Mercy. Coach Mercy asks, how to turn coaching into business? How do I get clients? And what do I charge for them? Thank you, Coach Mercy. And then Coach Sarah asks, branding and positioning. What are the 3 top questions to answer to best do this? What are the 3 top questions to answer to best to do this? Thank you, Coach Sarah. Then Coach Wangare asks, what are the prerequisites of designing a coaching package? Thank you, Coach Wangare. What are the prerequisites of designing a coaching package?
Great. I think we have quite a number of good questions to respond to there, even as the rest of us continue to ponder and share more. So keep capturing those questions so that at the end we can come back and say, see, did we answer all the questions or not? And if not, we need a second follow-up webinar. Or does it mean it's time to invest further, like the person who spoke about refreshing, okay? So thank you again for finding time this evening to spend with us and to have this conversation. And so I'll ask you again, Anamwaka, what was the question that you asked me so that we can get started?
All right. Thank you, Coach. So the question I had asked was, why the coaching business masterclass?
So this is actually, we are planning for a second intake. We've had the first cohort that graduated in May. And the thought about the coaching business masterclass started, I think, in 2022. And that's because I had a lot of people who would come to me and ask me, Eileen, how do I translate this coaching into a business? Actually, it's not the first time that question was coming through. It's just that that's the point it became very conscious that it's a lingering need for a lot of coaches. And going back to, the season of designing programs and getting accreditation, one of the driving force behind the efforts was to have multiplication of coaches for Africa, African coaches for Africa. And so just then realizing that after the certification, there seems to be something that is stopping people from launching confidently, made me then say, have I fulfilled the mission that I set out to achieve in 2013, 14, which is, we're talking about 10 years ago. That's the time I got that vision of, multiplication of coaches, African coaches for Africa, and what can be done differently. And so I went into, meeting coaches individually, talking to them about where they are at and what they need to do. And I can see some of the people on the call who have possibly had, those one-on-one conversations with. But then it took actually my son to make me think, why don't you craft something? He was supposed to be with us this evening because I tell him he's almost like the one who triggered me to, sort of step out and do it. Because I would tell him I was meeting other coaches. And so he could ask me, what are you doing with coaches? And I'm like, no, I'm helping them see whether they can, how they can set up something that that's sustainable as a business for process of, turning their coaching skills into revenue streams or into business. And one day he said, why don't you craft a program around it? Now, the initial thought I had was, let me put it in a book that people can read. And I did actually get a ghostwriter who had meetings with them and put together a manuscript, which as we speak has not seen the light of day, because maybe that was not the best route at that particular moment. But I said after the manuscript, I was like, okay, fine, I put all these things down together, but I would want to actually teach this and then be able to see, in real life, how does this work? And I guess my mind is wired that way because even for the programs I've gotten to be approved by ICF, I've always taught before getting the program submitted for approval. Like I want to almost a proof of concept before I put it out there. But now after doing the last cohort number 1, I'm very convinced that this is something that needs to go out to the world for people to be able to learn and grow and multiply coaching impacts, not just in Africa, but across the globe. So this is just the beginning. I mean, the teaching is one of the aspects, but the agenda is actually bigger than just a class, but to actually creating coachpreneurs across the world.
Amazing. So currently we're in the business of creating coachpreneurs. And that's
the title of the book.
Amazing, amazing. And that's a need that actually came out, and I'm glad that most of us have joined even as we're having these conversations. Karibuni sana, even as we think about how to build coaching businesses. And so question to you, Coach. Where I sit and what I've heard from the clients that I've interacted with, and just to mention that I work in the business development department, and even as you walk through the journey with some of the clients who onboard for the programs, you are termed as a successful coachpreneur. Was it always like this? Has it always been like this?
So I would say I actually didn't know I was going to become a coachpreneur. What I knew is that I had a very, very strong why. That I got into a season of my life where I was seeking to make a difference to human beings. Like I want to make a difference. And I wondered, how was that difference supposed to look like? And I got into coaching. And when I got into coaching, it's a long story. I don't want to go into the details of how that happened. It's a story for another day. And I was so driven by that whole purpose of, as I defined it in my 30s, early, just when I was turning 30, that I'm in this world to be. Let me step back and put it back. Then I don't want to refine it at this point in time. I want to be an instrument of change when I leave and when I'm gone. And that change then remained the thing that I was trying to pursue. How do I want to change people's lives? And I remember getting myself into NGO world because I thought that's possibly where I'm going to be able to, make a difference. But then realizing that was not it. And I kept searching for this. Where is this world that's assigned to me that I need to make a difference to? And I bumped into coaching, and almost by what would be termed as an accident, but obviously being a believer, I wouldn't call it an accident. It was a divine revelation of this is where you're supposed to be. And I knew deep down my heart, this is what I was supposed to be doing. And when I began, money was not necessarily the driving force, but obviously I needed to actually be able to make money and sustain myself, because what began as a part-time thing I was doing pro bono, like Catherine has mentioned, became so fulfilling. And the question that I kept on asking myself then is, why am I doing a day job that's not as fulfilling, and doing something that I'm enjoying and that's making a difference without other like giving it what the remnant of my energy of the day? What if this was the main thing I was doing? And that question led me to leave my job and start doing this. when I look back, I always call that a daredevil moment, because I don't know what I was thinking about. I don't know even what that was, but I would say God had a plan, because I left a job, I was expectant with our last born, and actually when I left the job is when I discovered I was expectant. And so they had all the reasons to, to jump back and stay in the job that I had. But I had such a strong drive within me to actually step out and do this thing that I can see the direct impact it's having on the people that I've been coaching pro bono. So I would say possibly I coached pro bono one to test the concept actually, but I think there was also it was almost like what I'm doing is not making the difference I'm looking for. I'm looking for this fulfillment. So when I stepped out now, it helped to pay my bills. And so the entrepreneurship side started sprouting. But then when I look back, I think there was always a streak in me, just that I didn't possibly believe it enough. And so I stepped out and started doing this, and without confidence even to charge, I was always scared that, will people pay? Will they, and how much are they just for a conversation? Because you see, you've done these conversations over coffee and they worked where there was no money conversation. But then here I am, and I've jumped out. Yeah, I've jumped out, and I have bills to pay, starting with the rent to the admin person to anything you can think about. So I had to figure out, I had to to start charging. And I started small. Initially, obviously, people are like, what is that? What are we paying for? Because see, it's a conversation. It's not tangible. I'm not taking home anything that I'm like, okay, fine. And there's no I don't have an assessment report that, something was paid for. And so you're just sitting with somebody for a conversation.
Mm.
And it was hard. And please note, 18 years ago, coaching was not known. So we are talking it was hard amplified, if you know what I mean, like to the power of whatever number you can think about. But there I was, and I see some of my clients that I started with there on this call. I'm not going to name them. And the why of what I was doing was the strongest drive I would say I had that time. And the more I gained confidence, the more I saw the results, and the more I got to know, like I know you have another question about that, but the more I saw the results, the more I got driven, the more I got, fulfilled, the more I went like, okay, fine. If it's making a difference, then I can charge more. And it was a very gradual raise initially, but at some point, I would say as I became aware of the difference I'm making, I think that was after, I think, top 40 under 40 nomination in 2009. I was like, if people can actually speak about the work I'm doing and the difference it's making, and this is what has gotten me this nomination, then indeed I'm adding value. And I would say that's a place at which I raised my fees exponentially. And again, notice those couple of years, the coaching was getting more known, and I was gaining more confidence as I got the testimonials from my clients. So it's almost like I had two things running concurrently. And so I started now sharpening my side of the business thinking, because then it meant, how do I scale the business? How do I pay my salary? Initially, my salary was not even anywhere in the realm of things. So I was an entrepreneur who was, I don't think I was even self-employed. I was an entrepreneur who is running a business, but actually no salary. My husband took care of all my bills. But a time came that was not going to be sustainable. So I had also start saying, how do I take care of my own bills as a person, take off my own, how do I get paid a salary as a person? And that's the journey I've been on. Obviously, there have been many milestones. It wasn't a one-off. There were many things that shifted along the journey. That's what I actually am sharing in the whole coaching business masterclass.
That's really powerful. And maybe just to share what I've had. And the coaches on the call can actually even start thinking about that. So you've talked about your why. And in your early 30s, the instrument of change was actually very loud for you at that particular point, even before defining how you are going to achieve it. And then you've also talked about your drive. So even as I go through what I've had, I'd like to ask the coaches on the call, what is your why? What is that thing that is driving you where you are right now? What is that thing that is driving you? And then you've also talked about what is your world, right? Because yes, there's the why, you have a drive, but are you able to define your world? And I like the fact that you've said in the coaching master class, that is what you're going to be talking about. And you've also talked about, it was hard. It's like selling ice to, Antarctica. Yeah. To the people in Antarctica, selling them ice cream. And so you by the time you're leaving, you've left, you don't have a salary. Thank God, yes, there's somebody who's supporting you. But again, you also realize, I've been blessed, there's a baby coming. And being a woman juggling all this, I just want to hear, and I'm sure the coaches on the call would also want to hear, and I'm sure there's some questions that might be alluding to that. What are those challenges you faced while building the coaching business? I know you have mentioned some of them, but what are those questions? And I think Juliet Mahogo also talked to that effect when she said, you have a main job, and then you're also thinking about doing coaching. So what are those things? When you talk about the challenges, you can also talk about what are those things are we supposed to be watching out for? Over to you, Coach.
I could spend the whole day, Namwaka, speaking about that. Possibly focus on what I think I'll call the motherboard challenges, like the real challenges I face. I think the first one was is just being a pioneer. I didn't have a benchmark. I didn't have, mentors that I could go to. I'm not sure that we all are aware that coaching as an industry is very young. We were celebrating, I think, 25 years as ICF just the other day. I think it's this year, is it that years or 25? Anyway, but globally, it's not a very old profession. So, and then when you come to Africa and come to Kenya, I mean, if you come to Africa and remove South Africa, then I was indeed almost like the one charting the path. So that was one of the biggest challenges that I had. I had no benchmarks, and there was very little awareness of what coaching is all about and what coaching does. So I was like John the Baptist in the wilderness. I ran short of eating locusts, but you know what I mean. Like it was very hard. Sell some that people don't have anything to compare with, and what they compared with was not what I was offering. So that was, I think, the low level of awareness about coaching was one of the biggest challenges. And I didn't invest a lot of time and money just telling people what coaching is. So much so that today, if someone tells me to define coaching, I'm like, now I think there are coaches to define what coaching is. I don't have to do this anymore. The other challenge was having experienced the power of coaching. I felt like I was the one to take it to the whole world. So I actually tried to coach everyone and anyone who came to me, before learning the fact that I can't save the entire world. I can't, even Jesus didn't do that. I can't coach the entire world. There is a certain world that's assigned to me. So just then taking time to define what is that world assigned to me, what would I be judged against as having served that world or not? And I came to realize that, when you say we want to make a difference in the world, many times we see it as a globe, like the whole world. There's just a very specific world assigned to you. And luckily, I've developed a procedure and a way of getting you to that place of defining what that world is. So that then your marketing messaging, the way you brand and position yourself, the way you productize your offering is very specific to the world assigned to you. I think that was a big one. The other one was, just as I said earlier, the fear of charging my worth less the clients don't pay. I think I really struggled with that, and simply because I'd come from a world of consulting and offering tangible solutions. I'm not saying coaching is not tangible. You know what I mean? Like maybe I've been given an assignment to do a business diagnostic, and I'll do a diagnostic and provide a report, and then I'm paid for that report. So there was something I'm delivering. Imagine coming from that world to, or I'm providing a credit solution, to a client, and they pay plus interest. So like what Liz does, and then coming from there to a place where I sit with you and you pay me for having a chat with you, I really struggled with that. Until then I got to realize that coaching is a gift that keeps gifting. It's not even me to measure the value of the difference I make. It's not me who is measuring the value of what the client gets, but the client does own the skills to measure that. And then how do I then make that offering have a form and shape and tangibility? So the whole idea behind the delivery systems, the crafting of the solution, and productizing, then help me to move away from feeling like I'm not, what am I charging for, to something that I can really have come from A to Z. And so that's what you are paying me for. I think there was also a challenge, it's also been a challenge of, this being, again, relatively a very new profession, there being too many possibilities, and just now then knowing, what do I say yes to, what do I say no to, and sticking to my true world assigned to me. So I think those for me are the major challenges I recall top of my head. That when we were able to unlock, the knowing the world, productizing, charging right, thinking about how you make coaching tangible, how you give it form and shape. And then obviously later on, then as we grew, then building the team was the other challenge, because you're also bringing in team members who are not familiar with coaching. So even them, they're coming in, yes, there is a job, but what is this thing all about? And how do we get to that place of understanding that it's a product that is sellable and that people can buy, and realizing that coaching is not sold. There's a very specific way of selling coaching. It's not sold like any other products. There's a very specific methodology of how you sell coaching. You have to demonstrate value. You have to build trust before people can buy. Before people can buy from you. Again, these are all things that I've learned along the way. Encounter challenge, then actually study more, learn more, experiment more, and fail forward or succeed moving forward. So it's been quite a journey.
And this is my question. I just want to be selfish a bit. What kept you going despite all these challenges? Because when I hear them, they are quite something. So what kept you going, Coach?
I would actually say it's my why. You know, back then I didn't possibly have a very, very deep roots in my faith like I am today. But I know the Lord has always been with me. So there was such a strong internal drive to actually keep going.
Wow.
Because I felt almost responsible, and it would be responsible of me to leave the world assigned to me unattended, if I'm making sense. Like they say in the Bible, if they get lost, you're responsible. And having experienced what coaching can do, I actually was feeling like, how do people not get this? How do people not access this? And I know about it. Am I going to be a good steward of what God has led me to? So there has been that very heavy responsibility. And it's interesting that now, even as many years down the road, the calling is still there. Yet I also know if today, even if, we wound up as CDI, coaching has its root, has its own, there are many people who can do this, courtesy of our trainings and other people who have come to the market thereafter. So I wouldn't possibly feel like I failed Africa, like I would have felt like I failed Africa maybe those 15 years ago. And I remember in 2011, 12 is when I really had this whole drive towards multiplication of coaches. Like, man, I know what this can do. I've experienced it firsthand. I'm hearing lots of good testimonials. I can't do this alone. I need to have many people. I need to have quote unquote disciples who can take this gospel of coaching everywhere. And so no amount of challenges was going to stop me. I actually don't think I've had a drive for anything else in life like I had a drive for coaching.
Amazing. So even as we take a moment just to think about it, Coach. Sorry, you're about to say something. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was about to say that, look, it wasn't easy. I can't sit here and tell you guys, the drive was accompanied by easiness. It was just, actually, I cannot explain it. Like, there are times I'll do something today and it feels, miserable. And tomorrow I'm up again. And I'm like, okay, fine. What is the lesson? How do I move forward? It was almost like I live by the rule of, if it doesn't work, move forward even faster.
Love it.
Pick the lesson and move forward even further. Doesn't make sense. Like, it hasn't worked. That's okay. Pick the lesson and move forward even faster. I was just, it's like I had this finish and I have to reach no matter what. And things have to work. And I forgot to mention one of the challenges was the naysayers. Man, there were so many people who were out telling me how this will not work. And I keep making a joke because this when I realized things were hard. Things were thick and people were thinking I was lost. When my mother told me to buy the newspaper and check a certain page for a job, because what I'm doing is not making sense and I need to get serious with life. I knew everyone must be thinking I've lost my mind. And I must also add, I lost a lot of friends because they didn't understand what I was doing. But the why was so, that's why for me, the whole thought around starting with why by Simon Sinek, it's so powerful that if you don't know why you're doing something, then, any small wind will drive to another direction.
Wow. Back to the question that even that Coach had talked about in her conversation when she was responding to the very first question. What is your why? Because that kept her going. What is your why? And as we make mistakes, we still fall forward. We move forward with the mistakes. That's really, really powerful. Okay.
Oh yeah, not everything will work. There are things you'll try, they will not work, but don't give up. You keep going, the other day I was remembering that there was one time I called in for, I got people into, those days we didn't have internet. We don't have this kind of forum where you have webinars. So what we'll do is to have a breakfast or something. And then I had a very few people show up and I spoke to them as if the room was full. And after that, I learned my lessons and moved on to the next thing that was on the agenda. How can I do this differently? Thank God, and people means they don't know how many people showed up. Like the people they don't know how many we are on this call. So they have no idea of knowing that you are 3 of you. So you just continue and fail forward and move forward and learn the lessons here.
That's a powerful literature. Whoever is not on this call does not know. So we learn and move forward. Thank you so much, Coach, for that. So the next question, even as I think about the journey that you've taken, we're talking about 18 years. 18 years, and Coach, you must, one of the things I keep on saying, and I hold myself from telling you sometimes, is thank you for accepting this call, because some of us will not have worked or had an opportunity to work in an organization that is making a difference out there. I will not have had an opportunity to have conversations with some of the people on this call, and just being resilient, being agile in the whole journey. So my question would be, how do you measure your growth when you think about, of course, I am part of the growth and I'm very proud. I'll say it here out and loud that I'm part of the growth. You can actually count me. But how do you measure the other, forms of growth that you have achieved as a coachpreneur?
I think one of the one that came through even as we did the initial question with the team here is monetary. just growing your revenue from one level to the other. But that is only possible if you grow your confidence and your competence. So I measure my growth by, actually competence gives you confidence, okay? And you can't get, I'm working backwards, you can't get the competence without practice. And for you, obviously, to practice, you must be trained as a coach. So my growth has been, if I start out from the bottom, getting my certification from top schools and just being able to, gain as much knowledge as I can. Number two, then the growth has been the practice. By the time I was actually applying for my PCC in 2013, I was already at 2,500 hours. So you can imagine then, now I've done over 10,000 hours of coaching, practice and then the growth in terms of, mastery of productization. Like I tell people I can design a product for you on a serviette in a restaurant, and I'll tell you this is the product you need to take to the market. It's just a prowess that I didn't even know that I had. But I think having started with so many people, then that's part of the growth that I've had. As I spoke about, the growth in networks, it's interesting how coaching, I don't know whether there's another profession that actually people do build such kind of relationships with their clients. I looked at the ballroom on my 50th birthday and the people who were there, and I was like, it's like 90% of these people I've known them through coaching. And I'm like, how did I build all this? How did I build all these friends? So that the growth in your network, which is really your net worth, is just an amazing gift of coaching. And all these people, you don't have it's not a arm's length connection, if you know what I mean. Like you've been into deep conversations with them, and you hold that space. So it's almost a sacred space that you hold in their lives, and they know you and they know that they're safe with you. It's just amazing. The growth of into the networks. I spoke about the growth of I think I spoke about the revenue, but for me, that revenue is not the art. The ultimate is the impact. The ultimate is the impact that you meet people X years later, and the things that you hear, you can almost not imagine that they happened because they had a coaching conversation with you. I mean, today I opened an email and somebody was sharing something with me, and I remember just getting lost in thoughts because I'm like, this is what that conversation did, So the growth of impact. And then I imagine it's not everybody who comes back and says, no, Eileen, this conversation I had with you, but there is all this multiply effect now happening, even through the coaches that we have trained. So the multiplication is another growth meter for me, that how many coaches are out there who are reaching people that I would never, ever meet in my life. Catherine in Gambia, I've never been to Gambia. I don't think I'll ever even meet somebody from that. I don't know. But you can imagine that coaching impact is in that country. I know, Juliet, you're coaching in the spiritual space, that people who come to you with different issues, you are there to hold their hand. Those people may not even reach me because they don't even know who I am, and they don't even have to know me. So that growth of impact. And for me, part of the drive towards this CBM is the fact that I'm empowering coaches to multiply that impact and reach those people that I may never, ever meet in this lifetime. Now, the last one, and it's not the last, but the last I'll share for now, is growth in terms of my self-awareness and who I have become. I think the Eileen that started the business, that Eileen that is today, are very different persons completely. And I mean Eileen as a woman, I mean Eileen as a leader, I mean Eileen as a mother, as a wife, as a sister, as a daughter, name it, as a friend. I've really grown as a person, because what coaching has done is not a thing that you give. coaching is a two-way learning track. And as a result of that awareness, that as I'm coaching, then the clients are growing and I'm also growing, you know? And I say I don't think there's any PhD that I would pursue that would give me the kind of knowledge and benefit that coaching has given me. There are times I've looked back and wondered, should I have been paid actually? Because I've gotten so much value myself. So personal growth in all, even spiritually, you know, I I've been in spaces of Bible study and the like, and I just have there's just this angle that coaching brings into my awareness and, you know, illuminating things and the power of questioning, the listening, and not listening when people speak, but also listening to the Holy Spirit. There's just a way that you listen and you hear because you've learned to listen. So that learning to listen, to ask the right questions and just be present has really made a big impact on my spiritual journey as well. Yeah. Back to you, Namoka.
All right. So one of the biggest insights for you even during this journey has been the two-way learning track. So coaching does not stop when you get the certification, but the more you continue doing this, the more you continue living in your why, and that means you're also giving yourself permission to grow and self-awareness. Very powerful, very powerful. So even as we think about all this insightful answers you're giving us, and I'm thinking about CBM. Yes, you've been called to create impact, and not just impact through a few individuals. And here you are again, you're setting up these amazing coaches to, you know, start up their businesses. Isn't that intimidating? Aren't you creating competition for yourself?
You know, if I was to do market speaking here, then that sounds like competition. But in real sense of the word is multiplication. When you do appreciate the concept that, or conceptual the fact that each one of us has a world assigned to them, then you're not creating competition. Because that world could even mean the numbers are many. You cannot all reach the same. You cannot serve that market all by yourself, you know? So for me, I've never looked at building coaches. Otherwise, I wouldn't even have certified coaches, because when I would do certified coaches, if you're thinking they become coaches, they're competing with you, you know? I'm actually at a point where at CDI-Africa, I would like us to start having to showcase what different coaches are doing in different spaces they have been assigned. I'm at a place where, you know that slide that you normally show the number of coaches you've certified? We've certified at CDI-Africa. I'm looking forward to a slide that says, and coaches in the marketplace today are courtesy of CDI-Africa, alumni in the marketplace. Catherine Kansime running coaching thing in Gambia. Elizabeth Wasuna, you know, whatever time she's ready for that. Juliet Mahugu running a spiritual direction coaching center. That is what would look like growth for me for the next space. Remember, our full name is Coach Development Institute of Africa. So certification alone is not development. It has to go beyond that. It has to go to a place where we establish coaching centers in organizations. It has to go where we partner with professionals to set up coaching centers in their professional bodies. And I think that's the journey we are on. And that is only possible if we can take our empowerment to the next level, and hence the CBM. And the thing is, when you discover the world assigned to you, and I hope nobody's offended by me using the word of God here. Like Jesus said, they will know you are, my sheep will know my voice. The world assigned to you will hear you. There's a language only you and your world speaks. So even if you are you are 10 of you speaking in a certain space, there are people who will be hearing, and that's what the coaching business masterclass is all about. That you can be able to have such clarity of the word assigned to you, and you can start speaking their language and actually having what you call the core transformation message that you take to this world, and you can be able to productize and brand yourself and position yourself and price appropriately. So actually, that's the flow of the coaching business masterclass. So not competition, but actually collaboration in the mission to, to take coaching, to cascade the value of coaching downstream right from the top offices to the lowest levels that we can get. And I know I have had someone say this, but in 2019, we did the first ever leadership and coaching conference. And the theme of the conference was weaving coaching into the tapestry of our society. Almost the thought that, then followed with the ICF Global saying, coaching should be seen as a right for humans, like people should have access to coaching. So that's the bigger dream, that we can develop coaches and equip them and empower them to be able to cascade the coaching across all the sectors of our nations and of our dear continent.
Really powerful. As we call you coaches into collaboration with this dream, a mission that a drive that Eileen Laskar MCC has, I'd like us to just think about, and I'll ask you, Coach, to take us through, how does the coaching business masterclass journey look like? Maybe if you can just take us through that, even as we invite the coaches on the call to collaborate with us on this journey.
Okay.
So how does the journey look like?
Thank you for that. I've actually alluded to a lot of the milestones on that journey as I was presenting, because remember I said this is not a textbook program. It's a program purely designed and informed by the journey I've been through myself. What has worked, what has not worked, and mainly what has worked. That's what I want to share. But the beauty about sharing what has worked, you also get to hear the insider story of what did not work. So I know the last cohort we had a lot of fun, sharing some of those moments with them, and them wondering what and how did you actually, come to the end? How did we get here? But I think it's a beautiful journey, and I know I may not always have the chance to run this masterclass myself, but courtesy of I think Tamanda, you guys yourselves, and Matumo, I'll do the second cohort. Initially I thought I would do one cohort and hand over, but then I've realized there is also an element of I think that's what Matumo was telling me, I think yesterday, that there is believability, because this has been my journey. So I'll do possibly one or two cohorts this year. I'm not sure, but at least I know of the one that's going to start. I'll take up that one, with the hope then that we'll be recording the sessions, and that's what the future classes might go through, of course, alongside the book, which I need to complete. And please, I'm not asking for any accountability partners here. For obvious reasons. So the journey starts with a very deep reflective moment of refining your why of coaching. Why did you invest in coaching? What do you intend, or what did you see as the reason you're doing this? What is driving? What has driven you? And you can be driven by different things, but we just want to find that positive fueling energy that can then help you as you navigate the journey. Remember, something you asked me, what kept me going? The why kept me going. Yeah. Then there's next thing, that after you know your why, then we go into knowing the world assigned to you. So you know your why, but then for which world? So those two actually are almost connected, but we always start broadly, then we come back to the world assigned to you. Imagine getting to a place where you fully understand, this is my world, and any other world that's not this one, anybody who's not in this world, I can refer them to somebody else, but I'm not actually the person to work with them. And then the third part is clearly defining your core transformation message or messages. You know, there has to be your what? Some people call it your elevator pitch, but I'll not call it that. It's that depth of knowing this is my world. This is exactly the message I'm taking, that which you can craft and change differently. But what this starts doing is to help you focus in terms of even your marketing, in terms of how you tell people what you do, your collateral if you're doing any business cards or LinkedIn profile or anything else that you're going to take out there in the market. You're very clear what you're all about. And it's a very short message. Actually, should be able to fit in front of your t-shirt, right? The next thing we do is to look at I'm waiting for your slide because I don't have it offered. Envision and start embracing yourself as a coachpreneur. It's one thing to see yourself as a coach. It's another thing to see yourself as an entrepreneur. So it's bringing the coaching and entrepreneurship together and starting to have a mindset shift around entrepreneurs look for opportunities. Entrepreneurs are clear about their message. Entrepreneurs are clear about their branding. They are clear about market. They actually do invest. They don't wait for opportunities to come to them. They go seizing them. And entrepreneurs network. What do entrepreneurs do, and how do you bring that world into your coaching practice? And once you have those four figured out, then we speak about being able to productize your coaching offerings, and what follows is then pricing that. What do we say that? What do we say by productizing? We step out and say I'm a certified coach. Like Namwaka likes calling me MCC. Who cares whether I'm MCC or PCC or ACC or LCC? You don't even know what's the difference anyway. It's only that in the coaching fraternity we understand what MCC means. But when I tell the women in leadership that in this season I'm helping them to be able to lean out and stop living at work and start working at living. That's very clear what I want to do, and I can give that product a name. So it's really where you move from just saying you're a coach to productizing the offering and taking to the market and giving it all the dimensions of a product. It has a form, it has a shape, it has a name, it has a journey, the learning journey or transformation journey that's based on, again, your world assigned to you and the transformation message that you carry. Then you've got to start thinking about this productizing, or the products you're selling in coaching. How do you scale that? Is it something that only you can do? I think just a few minutes ago, I spoke about the CBM being based on me, but then they're starting to think, I need a book and I need to record this so that people can get to access this without me. And that's part of the thinking around scaling. And then we say, yes, you're thinking scaling, but how do you start small? How do you start from where you are? So that big picture does not then make you feel like, hey, I'll not start until this happens. Is keeping that bigger picture, but also starting from where you are in a way that is scalable. And that goes together with being able to have the proper coaching delivery system, so that then if it's a product, then it starts from point A to point Z. Yeah. And how do you even get to reach the people who are the world assigned to you? What's the route to market? What is the best route for your product to the market? And how do you position and promote your coaching brand? And as you do all this, it's important that you also price appropriately without actually without being apologetic about it. And what professional support do you need? You can imagine if I was doing this webinar all by myself, for example, I would have had to send you the link, follow up with the registration, So professional support could look like, for example, who is going to help you host a webinar? Who are you going to work with? Who is that partner that you can work with, so then you can support each other? Who is that person who is familiar with possibly designing some certain things, designing a website or working on your profile, because you need to invest in that, including how do you grow yourself to the next level? You're certified, do you need to get your credential? Do you need to go for further training. If you possibly say you want to work with the youth, is there a youth training program you can go for so that you can actually understand the dimensions, the unique dimensions and ways of the youth. So all that stuff will be coming in the professional support. Then I spoke about being able to charge your worth unapologetically. I saw someone saying pro bono. Pro bono was so when you are training. Now it's time to actually start charging. Then stay fresh, stay relevant, invest in your self-growth. And finally, there is an element of how do you take care of yourself as a coach? Because as I said, I know it's possibly not on the slide, but this work is a calling, and as such, it requires you, there's a deeper level of investment of your effort and emotions and anything else that you can think about beyond a normal, say, an accountant's job. So how do you then how do you take care of yourself? How do you embed self-care as part of your journey, even as you seek for your own coaching, for your therapy, if you need one? How do you take? It's a lot. We explored a lot around that piece. I think it's a bonus piece. That's the reason it's not here. So that's the journey of coaching. And of course, they don't, this is not linear. They're just the first maybe 5 hours, but the rest is actually sometimes we shift them depending on what is happening in the class. So I'll pause there, Namwaka.
Thank you so much, Coach. So we already have a picture of what we are going to walk through this journey. And I'm speaking like this, trusting that, and I'm going to get a few interests because I'll be sharing a link with us in the chat just to see how many meetings you're going to set up so that we can have this conversation further and just give you a deep dive and possibly ask questions that you probably didn't have an opportunity to ask, but we are getting to the question and answer session in a few. And just before we get there, probably my final question to you, Coach, would be, what's your picture of success for the delegates at the end of the Coaching Business Masterclass? What's your picture of success for the delegates at the end of the Coaching Business Masterclass?
I think first is just all the things that are on that slide in terms of the modules. Each one of them is a success by itself. Just getting to a place where the delegate is so clear of their world, or their why, the world assigned to them, and their message for transforming that world. If nothing else, those are like the basics. Then we go to the rest of the parts, the productizing and the pricing and branding. So eventually then the picture of success is actually coaches who are confident, competent, and launching their own businesses. If not their own businesses, then a revenue stream that they can add to what else they do, whether part-time or full-time.
All right. So I just want us to take a moment just to reflect on what has been shared when as we think about collaborating and just signing up for this transformative journey just to set up the coaching business.
Please switch to Lavin.
I'm so sorry, Patricia. Allow me to mute you. Allow me to mute you, Patricia. Okay, fantastic. So I know there are a number of questions that had been shared in the chat, even as we think through. As I look at those questions, and most of us are reflecting on what's next after this amazing conversation. I know Catherine had asked about monetizing and how to monetize coaching in regards to getting clients. And so, and then, yeah, you actually talked about pro bono, that you're currently offering pro bono. And I liked what Coach said. So I don't know, Coach, if I can read about 3 questions and you can respond to it. How would you advise me to go about the questions? Can I read about 3? Is that okay?
I actually can't see questions unless they're in a place I cannot see.
They're in the chat.
Okay. You can read them.
So I can read them out for you. Probably I can be reading 3 of them and then you respond to them.
Okay.
All right. So the first question was from Catherine. She was asking how to monetize coaching in regards to getting clients. I am currently doing it pro bono, but I want to turn it into a business. The next question came from Coach Elizabeth. So especially for those who are taking up coaching over and above their day jobs, what are the things they need to be aware of? What are those things are they supposed to be aware of?
Okay. So,
Yeah.
so these are actually the questions that came in at the beginning. If they're the ones you're referring to, then I have them here.
Oh, fantastic.
And a lot of these are actually part of the program, so to speak. And we've spoken about the journey. You know, one of the things that possibly I would respond to, and I think I did allude to that, is the pro bono. Pro bono is not beyond certification. I think pro bono should be disqualified. You now are certified, you should be competent enough to charge. You'd rather charge a little amount of money than not charge at all. And let them know as you charge less, that you're doing that because it's not the full value. They're just paying you. Your discount is a discounted offer. And not a full pay they're giving you. But the rest of the things around, you know, how you package, how you brand, how you position, I think it's all part of the program. If you asked me, when you look at the slide on the items or the modules we have, and I don't think we want to use this session for tackling one, because then if I tackle one in detail, then the other person will miss to get the piece and be like, oh, my question was not answered. So I think the wisdom here is to possibly invite them into the journey of learning. But if somebody has a question that they would like to, you know, to ask to me specifically, maybe off here or on the call, they can. But if it's anything that's within the program, I think it will be tackling the program prematurely, if you know what I mean. And we may not do a good job within a few minutes.
All right. Thank you, Coach. That's clear. And yeah, I'm encouraging you, and I'll actually drop a link even while we are still at that. I've dropped a link in the chat. Please feel free. It will take you about a minute or 2 minutes to just fill in your details. We'll be happy to respond to all the questions that you have. And so I'll go back to a question from Coach Alison Doyle, and she asked, how do we respond to the question of why is coaching very expensive? When the coaches is the one answering her question. So when the coach is the one who's supposed to respond to this, how do we respond to that?
I think there are two parts to that. One, it could mean the person that is the client seeking for coaching doesn't appreciate what coaching is all about. It could also be speaking to your level of confidence. So you've got to know which one is a big mountain here. To me, a lot of coaches do discount what they offer. You know, and I told you about myself thinking, I'm just having a conversation with someone, how can I be charging for that? But the truth is, the value we give, and I like saying this, maybe you've heard me say before, and I'll repeat anyway, nobody can ever pay a coach enough. The transformation that a coach brings, especially to the world that, if they know the world assigned to them, is for a lifetime. It's the kind of gift or transformation that actually keeps on giving and giving. So what do I offer my clients, for example? I offer them space to think, which, because at the senior level especially, there's no time and space to think. So that's that space for thinking and for being able to make tough decisions, for being able to gain clarity, for being able to chart the way forward. That is priceless. You know, nobody can pay me enough for that. And that is likely to drive a whole agenda in an organization. So I don't think even if I charged 200,000 for that is money enough for that particular kind of a session, if you know what I mean. So there's an element of you believing in what you offer, and also educating your clients around how the value of coaching is not a one-time. It's something. It's like planting something that keeps on giving you fruit for a lifetime. And think of it from a point of, when you have received coaching yourself, can you pay your coach enough? Did the value of what they gave you end in that session? So given that it continues to serve you, how much then should you pay? So if you struggle with that question, ask yourself, is it because I I do not believe in the value myself, or is it because I don't know how to explain this to my clients? So the whatever, or it could also mean, are they part of the world assigned to me?
Hmm. Alice, I'm sure you. Okay, great. Thank you. Very well explained. Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I'm either as clear as water or as clear as mud. So I don't know which one is the clear one because there are no questions. Is it water? Is it mud? You can tell me in the chat you're as clear as water or as clear as the mud. Then I can know is the yeah. Let's see whether it's mud or it's Yeah, I got that from my friend Catherine Ome, who says, am I as clear as water or as clear as mud? Mud meaning matope. Ali, so thank you for saying that. Yes, I'm not mud and it's not as clear as mud. All right. Any other question that is based on possibly what I've presented before I hand it over to Namwaka? I know our time is far gone.
I can't see any other question in the chat. So this is clearly an invitation to join this collaboration, this movement that we are from just exploring and talking about. And if you would like to ask a question, because one of the things I know about Coach is interaction. She loves interacting with people, whether in class or offline. So if you can raise your hand, feel free to raise your hand. You can ask your question. That is also allowed. And even as we wait for you to raise your hand, I'll kindly allow me to quickly share with us details of the program of the masterclass. Allow me to share that with you. Sorry, just a second. Right, so where was I? Am I sharing my WhatsApp with everybody?
We can see something on your on the screen. We don't know whether it's your WhatsApp or.
No, initially it had actually come up. I think because there's something I was following up regarding the webinar. So here we are. I hope you can see it. It's very clear. So I'll just go through quickly. So I know we've had conversations with a few coaches in the room right now, and I'm happy to answer some of these questions. And this is how I'm going to take you through it about the program, the Coaching Master Business Class. And thank you so much, Eileen, for giving us a breakdown of how it's going to look like. So we are going to have 11 live virtual sessions. And we are happy to also announce that this particular upcoming session will have MCC Eileen Laskar taking us through this particular program. And then these programs will be running every Thursday from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. East African time. So when do we start? We start on the 31st of July, 2025. That is this year. So we have a few more days before the program begins. I like it. In fact, I should have just called her the coaching queen, and that is what she's referred to as the coaching queen. And so she's bringing you 18 years plus of building and leading a coaching brand. She's mentioned the fact that she has over 10,000 hours of coaching. So you can imagine all that experience that she's going to be sharing with us. And what do we gain from the program? So we are going to gain clarity in terms of what your value and what your story is. Number two, how do you stand out in this market that sounds very crowded? And I think she explained that very well when she was starting off. Coaching was very new. So how do you start? How do you create your own brand? And then number three, what are those proven strategies to attract ideal clients? What is working? And one of the things I'll be very honest about, even as we run the business day in, day out, her voice has been very helpful for us to continue running this business at CDI Africa, because once in a while, we always make sure that she's in the room just to speak into what we need to do moving forward. And I think it's one of those very insightful sessions that we have. So you have that opportunity as well. And how do you package, price, and sell with confidence? And then the other thing that you gain is the impact. So how do you design high leverage offers that transform your clients' lives or other lives, including yourself? She mentioned about the self-awareness that has brought in quite a lot of transformation in her life. And therefore, so the other question I know would be, so what does investment look like? So the cost of the program, and it's, Eileen, thank you for giving us an offer. I know when we started off, this was not the offer. So the program goes for 275,000. This is your investment for mastering how to start and run a coaching business. And so if you're able to pay the full amount by 18th of July, so there's an opportunity for you to get a discount, a 5% discount. Then apart from that, we also offer flexible payment plans. So we have a 50%. If you're able to raise 50% before 18th of July, that would be fantastic. And the 50% looks like 137,000 Kenyan shillings. And then the remaining amount can be made in 2 installments because the program runs for 3 months. So we've talked about 11 live sessions. So by 18th of August, you'll need to submit another installment of 68,750 shillings. And then by 18th of September, we'll also request you to make the final investment of 68,750. And so are you an alumni? And I'm excited to see a number of alumni on the call today. And so just to let us know that we also have a discount, and this discount is subject to us paying a full amount by 18th of July. So we have the cost at 233,750. And then there's also an installment plan that is 50% before 18th of July. And then we have 2 more installments to be submitted in August and September. So we'll be sharing with you this information on email. And we're also looking forward to some of the interests that have been filled in so that we can just book meetings and just have conversations and just ask all those questions that we may have so that we can have you join this. I call it a coaching movement. So I'll go back to the chat to see if there's any question. I promised to share these details with us. So I'll just go back to the chat box to see if there are any other details. All right. Alice, you've raised your hand. Karibu sana.
Yeah, thank you very much, Namwaka. And thank you very much, Coach Eileen, for this elaborate explanation and actually for encouragement. I thought instead of sending this on a chat, I would rather speak it out. Yeah, this is a Coach Masterclass. And I am a CPC, I think. Do I qualify to enroll in the masterclass?
All coaches qualify. It's a
Oh.
coaching business masterclass.
Oh.
It's a coaching business masterclass. And what possibly has not come out very clear, it's a blended program that has both training, mentoring, advisory, and coaching.
Mm-hmm.
So put it simply, if you were to hire me to take you through this journey, you would not pay anything short of $500,000. So the discount also comes because it's a group coaching as opposed to one-on-one. Does that make sense now?
Yeah,
It's
okay, thank you.
It's already certified. They're saying, how can I make a business out of what I have learned? I'm now certified, so what?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other question before we call it a day?
So what qualification will I get after this?
It's not actually about qualification. It's about you being able to set up a coaching business.
All right.
You will get a
Clear
certificate
now. Yeah.
anyhow, but it's not an ICF approved certificate because this is not about the coaching competence, it's about the coaching business. So the
Okay.
title of the room is a coaching business masterclass.
Okay. Thank you.
Namoka,
Yes, coach.
could I say a good evening to our coaches and to everyone? Because there seem not to be other questions, and feel free to reach out. And for those who've not met, hopefully I get to meet you one day. My name is Eileen, and it's been a pleasure having you this evening. And hopefully I get to see you in the next Coaching Business Masterclass. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you
evening.
so much. Thank you so much, Coach, for taking us through this webinar, and thank you for answering all the questions that have come through. And yes, we hope to see you in class. I know Coach will be there in class, but we hope to see the coaches on the call in class. So I've shared a link with us in the chat. So please fill in your details. We are happy to get in touch just to get to hear where you are at and how we can support you to collaborate. And then I think it's very clear, Coach, that for us to take on this journey, it's gaining the experience that we need to gain. And by sitting in that class, we'll be gaining insights from MCC, who's walked this journey for more than 18 years. We say 18 years, but counting, it's more than 18 years of experience. Thank you so much for creating time to join us. We are very grateful for always supporting us, and we look forward to seeing you in the upcoming class. Have a lovely evening.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.